So Janine, tell me about how you got Aardman here with this lovely collection.
Yes, well, we first met up with them that last summer, autumn time when after they'd finished the film and they really wanted to put these amazing sets and this wonderful galleon on public display, and that's when we first sort of met up with them and then had those early discussions right back then.
Right, so your education, is that correct?
And exhibitions.
And exhibitions.
Yes.
So how, because this is such a fun element, how did you manage to incorporate the education into this one?
Well, I think that's where the Aardman and Thinktank partnership has really sort of worked, actually, because of course Aardman have the sets and the puppets and bring that creativity to the process, but Thinktank has that experience in exhibition development and in education, and it's really through that working together that we're sort of able to bring the learning outcomes through. Because the great thing about animation is it's about science and it's about art, and it gives kids something to physically do and experience. I don't really realise they're learning.
No, it's exposure, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm going to have to mention the dodo.
Yes.
Can you please tell me about that?
Well, we're very lucky to have the reconstructed dodo from the Oxford University Museum. It was undergoing refurbishment themselves, and the dodo was off display, and so we're able to negotiate with them and have the dodo here.
Does it have a name?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Because in the movie it is Polly.
It is Polly, but of course Polly thought that she was a parrot.
Yeah. So, what kind of other things did you try to do to incorporate into this?
Well, we've got a whole sort of animated station just behind me over here, which gives children a chance to actually use software and little models to actually create their own little animated, very short movies, and also just some simple kind of zoetrope setups to do some drawing,
early animation.
Indeed.
Because I do think we kind of forget Thinktank is a science basis of it. Because we always think it's fun and interactive and great for families and kids and everything, but it does have that science background.
Yeah,
so
we are a science museum.
Yes,
it's a very interactive one.
But we kind of forget that. So it's wonderful. I mean, this is actually made for you guys, wasn't it? This whole exhibition.
Yeah, indeed.
And how long is it running for?
Until the end of September.
Great.
So
all
nice
summer.
long time. So all through the summer half terms and holidays.
Fantastic.
Through to September.
Well, thank you for talking to us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
So we've kind of been doing some research.
Okay,
Charlotte
good.
and I have, and we would like to know, where does the name Aardman come from?
Excellent question. Good. Well, it's just a joke, and it was a joke that we had when we were like 16 years old. I was at school with this guy, David, still my partner in business today. And what can I tell you? There's an animal in South Africa called the aardvark.
Right.
Which seemed to be a very, very funny name back then when we were 16 years old.
Still funny.
Still funny. So we took the Ard of Aardvark and the Man of Superman, and we had a superhero who we called him Aardman. And the joke is that it doesn't mean anything. It's just a joke. And nobody except us two schoolboys knew he was called Aardman because there were no words. It was never spoken.
Right.
So it was a joke we had, and then one day that we sold our first film to the BBC, and they said we need to put it in a bank account. What's the bank account called? And so we chose Aardman. So it kind of doesn't mean anything.
What happened to the lost scene?
The lost sequence.
The lost sequence in the Pirates.
Yes.
There were a few actually. There were several lost sequences. Gosh, at one time, Polly the dodo, which is really important in the story, he didn't have her at the start of the film. She was given to him by a guy called Calico Jack, who came out of the sea on a blazing ship and crashed into the pub and gave the captain his dodo. There were many, many lost scenes, and it's hard to explain why, except you just changed ideas the whole time.
So do you go through the whole process of making the scene? And then
oh God, no, that would be terrible. No.
Okay. So we're talking storyboards.
Storyboards, yes. Which is to say, so you write it in a script, just in words. Then storyboarding, that's when you do drawings, quite rough drawings actually, and one rough drawing stands in for a piece of animation. If you animated it, it would take you a week.
Right.
To draw it takes 10 minutes. So you do it in that form and test it out to see if it's a good idea, and then you think, oh no, that wasn't a good idea. So then you throw it away, and draw it again. So,
Is there another book on the pirate?
is there another one? There are. I think there are 5 now, and they're kind of they're not very serious, these books. So they start with the Pirates Adventure with Scientists. That was quite silly. Then the second one was called The Pirates in an Adventure with Whaling, which is kind of okay because they're both on sailing ships. Then one was called The Pirates in an Adventure with Napoleon. One is The Pirates in an Adventure with Communists, which is
Quite strong.
quite wrong. And the last one's The Pirates in an Adventure with Romantics. So they're all jokes. The history is terrible. Don't rely on these books for history because they are fantastically wrong and inaccurate, but they're very, very funny. And we were working on the script for a new film, which was going to be The Pirates in an Adventure with Cowboys, but I don't know if we'll ever make it because it's hard to raise the money.
Get the balance. Oh, okay. The money.
To be honest.
Okay. What comes first, the puppet or the voice? Because we're specifically thinking about Brian Blessed, weren't we? Because
yes, okay. Well, Brian Blessed is very specific, yes. Because Brian Blessed is probably the only person that we knew for sure when we started the film who he was going to be. That's an interesting case.
you kind of spotted that, didn't you?
From the very first day, we thought, it's got to be, hasn't it? It's got to be Brian, it's got to be. And, but everybody else, we didn't have the actor. We had the puppet design before the actor. It was everyone else's case, except Brian Blessed. So very good. So well spotted there. That's, and he was kind of obvious because he does have quite an amazing voice. I tell you what, you know he's a noisy man.
Yeah.
When you're in a small room with him, it's just terrifying. It booms because the recording studio is quite a small room normally, and you're in there, and he produces this noise like a sort of a jet plane at close quarters. Wow, it's just extraordinary.
What was your favourite scene to animate?
I sometimes think that most people don't love it very much, but the way my favourite is when the captain is on the stage at the Royal Society dressed in a scientist costume, and he's jumping around going whoa and whoa and putting on this ridiculous show, and it just makes me laugh. It makes me it makes me laugh because it's so wrong. Because what makes me laugh is that you've got all these blokes in the audience who are very, very serious, like they're a caricature of Victorian gentlemen who are very, very pompous and very straight and old-fashioned and disapproving, and they're all looking. They can't believe their eyes at this, and this man is jumping around the stage, behaving. That makes me laugh.
It was quite funny. Okay, latex and foam versus plasticine.
It's not so cool.
We started off easy.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy with latex and foam. To be honest, you lose something. You lose that very handmade look, which I regret that.
Yeah.
But you can do so much more with performance and with costumes, which I think are important. So the captain could never jump around the stage and do that stuff if he was made of plasticine. He couldn't do it. He'd be too big and heavy, and you couldn't do pirate costumes with plasticine. I mean, even like Wallace, everyone thinks Wallace is all plasticine, but actually only his head and his hands are plasticine. His body is also foam latex these days.
Dodo versus parrot.
Dodo versus parrot. Dodo every time.
Yeah, you gotta love the parrot.
No competition. She was so cute. I mean, it's like, it's funny because we didn't know she was cute. Well, she looked cute. She looked cute. Yeah, and then the interesting thing about animation is very interesting because when the animators are working, their job is to bring things to life. That's what they do. And so we had this little puppet. She's really quite small. She must be around here somewhere, right? She's only about that big, which is small for a puppet. And then the first guy animated her, and she had this funny swinging walk where she swung her whole leg out. She didn't like in a kind of a swing.
No kneecaps.
I can't. Yeah, no, because the legs are too short to have kneecaps, and that sent her bottom swinging and the legs swinging, and I thought, oh, that's funny, that's cute. And then right at the end of the film, when she cuddles down in a dog basket. Have you seen that moment?
Yeah.
So cute. You know, who knew she'd be so cute, Sam?
Parrot couldn't do that.
No.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time for talking to us.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Nice to talk to you. Nice to talk to you. Pleasure.
Thank you.